Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Wednesday's edition of Premarket Info.
Well, we got a little rally on our hands. Overnight, we've been as high as 1706.50. But we're up here 7 points, Joel. I don't really know why, because I don't really think any good news came out of Washington there. But I mean, the market seems to not care.
We are developing some very good resistance there. Despite trading up to 0975 on Tuesday during the pre-market, we stopped right at that 0650 level on Monday, and also intraday we stopped there at 0675.
Whoa.
That's your major resistance point. Yep, that's getting thick up there. On the downside, the close was 92. We've got a pretty good pop off that, so that's going to be good support. The close in Tuesday's low at 89.50.
Let's move right into some of these earnings because we got some
Sure.
big guns here reporting. Start with Bank America. They reported earnings of 20 cents versus analyst estimates of 18, so they did beat slightly here, Joel. Let's get that Bank America chart kicking there. I'm not sure if our charts are working or not.
It should be up there. Got
Yeah,
it. You see,
I'm
you
seeing
see it?
ES
That's
still. I'm still seeing the E-mini chart here, so
really. Well, I got the BAC on mine. That's a little bit interesting here.
yeah.
You still got that TOS up there?
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties here, it looks like, on this Wednesday morning because, yeah, your E-mini, your chart's just not changing there. I'm not sure why. It's just showing the E-mini
Hmm.
chart. But going to the Bank America, if we just look at the technicals here, hopefully some people are seeing on their end. We traded 4 million shares here this morning, $14.20 to $14.21 here is where we're at right now. The high, what's the
Okay.
high there, Joel?
We did get a spike up as high as
14.
1453 here, the pre-market spike. Pretty big move for Bank America here, but it's settled quite a bit back down here, only trading, well, it's trading flat right now, so the pop wasn't well received here on the street. It's coming right back down. A 30-cent move for Bank America in the pre-market is a big move, so sellers came in, took advantage of that. We'll take a look at the daily chart here for Bank America. Spent a little time under 14 bucks here. Developed a good resistance until that pop in the pre-market. Had two highs at 1439 and 1443. So I think this thing's going to get real thick here in the high 1430s, 1440, and that pre-market high doesn't look like it's going to be seen today at 1453.
We'll have to ask the thinker swimmer if they're seeing the charts change because I definitely am
They are,
not.
Dennis. They
They
are.
are, so for some reason, maybe it's just on my end. It's going to be on the recording too, so we do apologize to our recorded listeners that the charts aren't going to show up over here. But the show must go on here, Joel, and it's going to go on here with Intel reported earnings there last night. INTC, they popped significantly on the report. Got up over $24, but then has pulled back, given back all of those gains. The numbers, just go into the numbers: 58 cents versus 54, 13.48 billion versus 13.46 billion. The revenue sales or the sales guidance for next quarter, kind of all over the place: 13.2 billion to 14.2 billion. Analyst estimates are 13.99 billion, so that's not really very good guidance. But regardless, here the stock obviously is trading down here 9 cents in the pre-market.
Big pop, 24 bucks for this big old thick stock here in that $24 level. That coincided with a high that you had not too long ago here. You traded up to 24 back at the in July, but boy, it surely gave it all back very quickly here, finding major support. It got down under 22.90. The low of the pre-market has been 22.80, so that's support. Looking at the dailies, you got to figure this thing, as long as it's still holding that $23 level. Looking at yesterday's range, you had a low at just above 23 here. So I'd say 23.32 was the low from yesterday, 23.03 the 2-day low. As long as it stays above 23 here, Dennis, I still like it going up, to the upside. 23.59 was yesterday's high, so I'd use that as resistance ahead of that 24 pre-market high.
Also had Yahoo reporting earnings last night, and it was breaking out to a new high on the move right when they reported 34 cents versus 33, 1.08 billion versus 1.09 billion. So a slight top line miss, slight bottom line beat, but then they came out just a few minutes later and lowered full year 2013 sales guidance down to 440 to 440 4.4 billion to 4.45 billion. Analyst estimates were up at 4.46 billion, so a slight lowering there. That actually knocked the stock back down all the way. If you look at that pre-market chart, all the way down to 33 and 38 where the close was. Now it's popping up here again.
Man, it's a lot of action here for you after hours and
really
pre-market traders. Wow, that 35.5 here came down after the 35.5 level. Traded all the way down under 33 bucks, got to 32.75. Man, that's how much Yahoo moves in a month.
Yeah, it was really bouncing around.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the daily. Nice, steady, slow climb up here. Hit 35.06 has been the high of the move, so still a buck away from there. Let's look at it in terms of yesterday's range. Trading above yesterday's high, trading below yesterday's high, which was 34.32, trading at 34.09. So we'll keep an eye on that 34.32 adds resistance. The 3-day high 34.37. So that's it's 25 cents away from here. Use that as an initial resistance point. If it can break above that, you might see the $35 level. Coming back on the downside. We're way up from the close of 33.38, so in anywhere near that 33.50 level, I expect that pretty good support.
If you look at CSX, they reported earnings last night too, and it really has given back all its gains as well. This is like yo-yo night. It must have been last night there for the earnings. 46 cents versus 43, 3 billion versus 2.95 billion. It popped way up on the report, but again here has given back those gains and is now trading almost flat at 26.11.
27.78.
Holy cow, man. They got excited last night with some of these earnings. A little bit too excited.
Yeah, now you've come right back in, really holding this $26 level. I don't know, that's maybe not much printed up there. I mean, look at the ranges that you have on this thing on a daily basis, and have this kind of move in the pre-market. We talk about taking advantages of the moves in the market. Might not have been too happy shorting this thing at 27 when it went to 27.78, but you're looking pretty now. But look at all these tops here over the last few days between 26.08 and 26.18. That's your last four highs. Trading below that in the pre-market. You also had a few highs at that same level back at the beginning of the month. So if you could clear that 26.25 level, then things open up to at least 26.50 or the recent high of the move at 26.90. You're trading above support, above yesterday's low, 25.95. But if it breaks through there, don't get too faked out because you got a triple bottom between 25.71 and 25.74. So good support for this thing. Looks like it's been stuck for the last couple days.
Let's move on to some of the earnings from this morning. We already talked about Bank America, but there's some more big guns that have reported here. PepsiCo, PEP, reported earnings here. This morning, the earnings were 124 versus 117, 16.91 billion versus estimates. I think it was 16.97 billion, so a slight miss there on the sales, but a nice beat on the bottom line. The stock popped up to over 82 bucks on the initial report, has given back some of that, actually traded right down to flat there, right around 8 o'clock, but now has popped back up into the 81 handle, and we're at 81.24 right now in the pre-market.
Yeah, did get a spike. You even got a crazy spike here, just over 82 to 82.03. Since then, you've come back. You're finding nice support here, right under 81 to 80.60, 80 level. It's hard to look at these things when they make these crazy these moves, but
right.
To analyze this thing, look at those three tops right there, and we broke above there. So we'll use that old resistance point as support. You broke out above 81. You broke above the 81.10 yesterday, traded up to
Mm-hmm.
81.53.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd use that 81.10 level as support, and coming up on the upside, you got 81.53, and then the major resistance at 82, and you got a double top up at the $83 level.
Also reporting this morning, toy maker Mattel, MAT, and it is getting a good lift here. It is actually trading up in 43.75 right now, closed at 41.55, so getting a nice 5% pop on their earnings. 1.21 versus $1.12, 2.21 billion versus 2.17 billion. So a bottom line beat, a top line beat. Mattel is rocking and rolling here this morning.
Yeah, the toy maker here getting quite a boost, up 220 pre-market high for the issue, way up here above 44. I got as high as 40, 44, 44. Nope, 44 and a quarter has been the high.
Mm,
Little skeptical of this though, Dennis. If you look at the daily
big
charts, I mean,
move.
this is, yeah, it's a big move. It's been quiet for the last few days. Had those tops at the 4160 area, which we obviously broke above. But I keep an eye on that $44 level. I
Hmm.
know we're trading right at it, right at 43.95 right now. But we might have some stock here in the book, some good till canceled offers that need to get satisfied on the open, and I don't know if they're going to have enough stock to open this up at $44.
Well, and you did have that top of 43.90 back on September the 20th, and then if you go back into July, we topped out above that at 44.45. But the whole area of 44 looks to be pretty thick. If you could ever get above the 44.45, then you have a gap area up there. But
Yep.
I think they're gonna be lining up ahead of that. Probably there's a few people that have been underwater in this swing for a while. I mean, 5 trading sessions ago, this thing was at its low of the year, pretty much down at $40. So I think a lot of people would be pretty excited to dump stock at 44 here today. Let's talk about Hasbro too. Obviously, it's getting a sympathy lift here with the Mattel earnings. It's up a buck 16. Nice sympathy lift actually. 47.15 is where it's trading right now. It's bid at 47.20. So Hasbro, which was trading pretty much in the low of the move yesterday, I guess you can look and put in a double bottom there now. Now it's popping up over 47.
Boy, these toy makers are doing okay today, huh?
Yeah, the
I
toy
mean, you
maker's
are
not
getting
bad.
the move. You're getting the move above 47. You did have a high at 47 a few days ago, so that is breaking above the resistance there at the $47 level. Keeping an eye, pre-market high way up here at 47.15. Do see some resistance point
Yep.
on the daily in the mid
Yep.
47s here, going back a double top 47.44 to 46 on October 3rd and October 4th. And on the 2nd, you had a high at 47.41. So someone targeting that whole $47.50 level is as a selling area.
Also reporting here this morning, Abbott Labs, ABT, one we haven't talked about for a while, and they've got an interesting report here because they beat on the bottom line, 55 cents versus 52. The top line is slight miss, 5.37 billion versus 5.46 billion. But they also reaffirmed outlook, and they're raising their quarterly dividend somewhat significantly. They're raising it from 14 cents up to 22 cents a quarter. That's a pretty big raise for Abbott Labs on the dividend. And stock's trading up 60 cents here in the pre-market. 34.35 right now just ticked. Closed at 33.71.
Right, just trading right here at the high. Is it bid at that 34.35 or is
It
it
just
offered?
offered there, but it's bid at 34.18, so it is bid
Okay.
somewhat higher, and it's traded quite a bit of stock here. Just 20,000 share block just crossed at 34 and a quarter. We just saw maybe about 4 or 5,000 shares at 34.30, and now 34.35 just traded another 1,000 shares. So they are still walking it up a little bit here. So if we can get above that level that we got to yesterday, which is 34.18, so I guess we are above that now, it does open up a little bit.
Yeah, there's 34.18, the recent high of the move, and you also go back to early October. You ran into some resistance at the $34 area. I mean, this one buying it up 64 cents here. You do have support at yesterday's high, 34.18. things do open up. Actually, 34.35 was the exact high that you had on September
Mm.
25th. And then the previous day, it traded over the 35 handle at 35.10. So at a critical level here for Abbott Labs because there's really not a lot of real estate over this 35, 30, 34, 35 level.
Your loser of the day looks like it's going to be Stanley Works or Stanley Black and Decker SWK. That stock is trading down here over $9 right now on their earnings
What?
report. I know it's getting rocked. It didn't look that bad on the report itself. $1.39 versus $1.38, so a slight beat, a slight miss on the top line. 2.76 billion versus 2.82 billion. But then they had to come out and talk about their outlook, and they lowered their outlook. They were supposed to make for the full year 540 to 565. They're seeing that number down at 490 to $5, so a good 55-60 cents below consensus estimates, and the market don't like that, and we are down here significantly. I would have never thought it could get a move like that down to $80, but wow, 115,000 shares knocking her down this morning.
Stanley getting worked here.
It really is.
Did hit, yeah, did hit 80 in the pre-market, and you do getting a slight bounce off that area. I can't remember what the chart that we looked at yesterday, but it had, it was Teradata, right?
Yeah,
and
TDC.
that had like
Yeah.
the big, yeah, and that had the big drop in the pre-market, and then didn't really go anywhere the whole session. It looked like someone was in there defending. Let's see if I can find make a reference point on that. Well, it did ended up trading lower here, but you had a consolidation in the pre-market, and then it did continue lower. So keep an eye on this $80 level. It's being defended. 79, 75. They're not doing a very good job defending
The
it.
defense just broke. Just traded through a
Yeah,
whole bunch of stock at 80.01. There's 3,500 shares chewed through that. Just ticked back up to 80 here now. So I'd still keep an eye on that
wow.
$80 level. Even if it trades through, comes back up through it, sometimes you can get a little bit of a pop. There
Well,
may be some bottom fishers that come into something like this when it gets $9 knocked off the price just like that.
middle of July, you had a low at 79.14, so that would be your next support point. Under that, you're looking at $77. But you got to figure there's going to be some kind of rally in this thing. I mean, being down, over 10%. So 80, I'd use it. I don't know if I'd want to be short. This thing got back above 80.
There are so many earnings reports today, we're not going to be able to cover them all on our show here this morning, but I'll just ring a few of the bank ones off. We'll go quickly through these. Key Bank, KEY, 25 cents versus 22, so they beat. You got BK, Bank of New York Mellon, beating 60 cents versus 58. You got Comerica CMA beating 78 cents versus 71. You got USB coming in line, 76 versus 76, but it was trading up a little bit ago too. BlackRock, which isn't a bank, but their investment bank or investment, $3.88 versus $3.88. So a lot of these haven't actually traded here yet this morning, but any of those technical ones you want to check out on a little more detail there, Joel, or should we pop on here?
Wow, you just went right through them here
I
pretty
flew through
quickly.
them on you there.
I mean, it looked like most of them had like some consolidation and some tops. So if it's breaking above the resistance, I mean, this BlackRock has had a couple highs here in that 284.88. So it hasn't got there. I'd keep an eye just on the daily ranges in this. BlackRock has come from way under 262 earlier in the week to hit 284.88 yesterday. So trading below the 82.65 high, which was a high on the 14th. So I'd keep an eye on yesterday's high at 84.88.
Warren Buffett on CNBC this morning talking about J.C. Penney. They asked, just asking his opinion, and he did say, "I'm not worried about the company not surviving here." So it actually popped up a little bit on that because J.C. Penney obviously had a terrible day again yesterday. It does look like it's going into the death spiral when you look at the action from the last month. We were up at 14 in mid-September and we're down at 7, so it's been halved basically in the last month. Trading up here this morning on Buffett's just probably comments there that says he's not worried. I don't know if to read anything more than that into it. He didn't say he owned it or anything, but
Yeah, there's a big difference between
yeah.
not being worried and putting your money where your mouth is. Come on, Warren.
Well, I think they probably.
Um,
I didn't see the actual commentary on CNBC this morning, but they probably just were talking about it. They said, "Well, are you worried about this company surviving?" And all it's quoted is, "No, I'm not worried." So, I mean, I don't know if you really talked about it too much here or not, but regardless, it is getting a pop here, $7.34 here this morning. Obviously, yesterday's low, which was 712, that needs to hold. You never want to see these stocks, and when you're trading these really weak stocks here, stocks that have been down, because if you look at this, it's been down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It looks like 17 out of the last 20 days or something. So obviously there's a trend there. But you want to watch these, and if you're picking bottoms on this kind of stuff, it's always dangerous. But if they take out the previous day's low, that's always my sign that while it's making a new low here on the day, I do not want to be long this. So that's kind of the bogey I'm using if I'm trying to pick bottoms and stuff like this.
did my screen unfreeze there? Are you still seeing the
Nah, I'm
ES
still
chart?
seeing the E-mini. I've put up
Oh
my
man.
quotes for the recorded listeners on the JC Penny, so I'm not sure why we're having a few issues with the go-to meeting platform, but it does look like it's working for Thinkorswim, which is good. So
Okay, 740 is that high in the pre-market. So if JC Penney's trading right near that level, take a look at the dailies. The stock has just had a really hard time. Perhaps if it can continue to rally a little bit. Yesterday's high was 786. Still got a ways to go on that. So perhaps you had a washout date 712. I was discussing this issue with a few people in the office, and it seemed like it got a lot of moves that popped it over 8 last week. They
it was
came out with
trying,
some
yeah.
some good information. They pop it up in the pre-market and they slam it down. Well, if you're looking, it traded closed at 841 on October 3rd, and closed at $8 on October 11th. That's where you had the close. So that's it's not a huge number here, as far as highs and lows or whatever. But psychologically, I think if you stay out of this one until you get a couple closes over 8, you might be saving yourself trying to pick a bottom.
Let's talk about Apple. We missed it yesterday, and I actually had it written down that it was starting to look like it was breaking out. It did break out yesterday, finally got up over the $500 level, up to 502. It is trading up here again this morning, up $2.57 because it closed 498. It's back up to that 502 level, almost anyways, 501 and a quarter. So Apple's consolidation, that whole range was in the 480 to 492. It has broken out and up to the upside on this one. Don't get too excited there, bulls, though, because 510 major resistance up there, 9 points higher.
Yeah, we were recovering, from the information when the new phone came out that they just changed the colors, but
The
those
color.
colored phones seem to be selling well. It recouped all that ground. You do have some minor resistance at yesterday's high at 502 even, and then things open up. I see something ahead of that 510 level, Dennis. You had a high at 507.45 on September 10th, so we'll keep an eye on that. And the high since making that major low has been 510.57. So got a couple of resistance area to look at in Apple.
E-minis trending up here. We're up 9 now, 1701 and a quarter. So this whole 1700 level, psychological level, they're trying to get the market to open above that. Obviously, hoping that that can hold and maybe we can make a run at that high. That's my swing number for today, 1700. Any closing thoughts?
Just keep an eye on that 1706 area, 1706 and a half, 75 interday high from Tuesday, the actual high on Monday, so that's a good resistance point. Above that, yesterday's Globex high 1709.75. So there's some levels to look at on the upside.
That's our show for today, guys. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. With those ironed out, we'll be back at you tomorrow morning.